The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus originally came out in 2014 to an overwhelmingly positive response, although that outlook has changed over the past few years. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and today we're going to be talking about the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. How do they hold up in 2019? The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus were Apple's first try at the phablet market, something people had been asking for a long time, and they were a huge success. Actually, they soon became the best-selling smartphones of all time, shipping over 220 million units. Just to give you an idea of how big of a deal that is, the second top-selling smartphone only sold around 80 million, and so yeah, the iPhone 6 was unstoppable. But it wasn't without its issues and controversy, the worst of which being Bendgate. I'm gonna get this over with right away. This phone bends. The 6 Plus is especially easy to damage, and that kind of is a problem. Apple used a low-grade aluminum here in order to get the phones as light and thin as possible, and it had some pretty unfortunate consequences. Bendgate led to touch disease and a multitude of other issues, most of these issues leading to the iPhone's display becoming unusable. This was very common, and so if you do ever buy an iPhone 6 and you see it in person first, try to test it out and make sure it's fully working, and if you're buying off of eBay, just make sure you return it if it has any issues or buy from a reliable seller. Alright, that's over with. The big deal about these phones at launch was the much bigger displays. The iPhone 6's display came in at 4.7 inches, while the iPhone 6 Plus has 5.5 inches. Both phones were much bigger than anything we'd ever seen before and were the obvious selling point here. Under the display, we have the home button with first generation Touch ID, and this is all held together with an aluminum frame and body. Personally, I don't like this design. In fact, it's my least favorite iPhone design, I think. But it's fine, it's functional. Well, kind of, except for Bendgate. It's fine. Most people are going to put a case on it anyway, so who cares? The camera isn't exactly a highlight of the iPhone 6. It's mediocre at best with 8 megapixels and 1080p video recording. You can get good photos, but you can get some real bad photos too, and the iPhone 6s and newer are much better in this department. The front-facing camera is beyond bad with a measly 1.2 megapixels. You're going to get some gnarly and pixelated looking selfies with this thing, and if that's important to you, you're going to want to go up to the iPhone 7 or newer. The 6S does bring some improvements over the 6, but I'd say the 7 and newer does do it quite a bit better. Anyways, here are some photo examples for you to judge for yourself. This right now is being filmed on the iPhone 6 Plus. Excuse the netting, it's for pigeons. If you want some more video examples, a couple years ago when I used the iPhone 6 as my main driver, I did a video test with its camera, got a ton of footage of the Vancouver Aquarium in 1080p at 60 frames per second, although annoyingly it was compressed down to 30 frames per second when I rendered it, which I didn't realize at the time. Regardless, link below in the description if you do want to see that video. Battery life on the iPhone 6 is not great, especially since most of them have been pretty heavily used over the years. The 6 Plus is a bit better because it has a big battery, being that it's a bigger phone, but you're probably going to need to keep a charger nearby with your iPhone 6, at least the smaller one, unless your phone just hasn't been used a lot over the years. When it comes to processing power, the iPhone 6 isn't particularly impressive with only Apple's A8 chipset and 1GB of RAM. It's barely faster than the 5S, and in real-life use it lags behind, with many tasks feeling slow and unnecessarily laggy. While iOS 12 has actually helped it feel faster, it's still not great, and personally I'd much rather an iPhone SE or better for that second gigabyte of RAM and much better performance. With iOS 13 on the horizon, I think things are only going to get worse from here, and while the iPhone 6 is usable right now, it might be quite painful by the end of 2019. I wouldn't recommend buying the iPhone 6 in 2019, and if you have one right now, I'd push you to consider upgrading soon. The iPhone 8 or 8 Plus are going to probably be the best phones to upgrade to from the 6, although if you have a slightly bigger budget, I'd spend a little bit more and get the XR. more. If you want to see my full in-depth iPhone buying guide, I'll drop a link to it in the description below. So at the end of the day, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus were good phones for the time, but not really anymore. While if you have one, you're probably going to be okay, they are definitely aging, and it might be a good time to upgrade. While the design still looks fairly modern, I mean the iPhone 8 didn't come out that long ago and had basically the same look, the phone itself doesn't feel very modern when you use it, and it has a lot more problems than it has positives in 2019. If you really are on a budget and are looking at possibly buying the iPhone 6, I would say get the 6S. It's not that much more money, being under $200 most of the time, and you're getting a much better camera, much faster speeds, and a much more durable phone as well. Overall, I would say you shouldn't buy the iPhone 6 anymore, and if you have one, again, you might want to consider upgrading soon, although you should be okay for at least another year. And with that, I think I'm pretty much done here. I always liked the iPhone 6, I used it for quite a while personally, at least 6 months if not longer, but I just can't call it a viable phone anymore. It's not awful, but it certainly rides below the line of mediocrity. If you found this video interesting or helpful, maybe hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content just like this. You can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram if you want some more tech in your life. And with that all being said, I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and I will see you all next time.